Rhythm and Soul Radio. I am Marco Nobles. Our guest line is open for a gentleman who many of you listening have heard his music. He's been releasing lots of music with healing energy over the last couple of years, in particular. Singer, songwriter, producer Cleveland P. Jones. What's happening, sir? How are you?
Sir, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
it is great. It is great to have you. But
Mhm.
one of the things, your music is soul, it's jazz,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of everything. And I mentioned that your music is healing, because that's how you look at yourself. You look at yourself as healing through music, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need
Uh,
it. We need it.
we
So
do.
consistently need it.
Right. Talk a little bit about your background and the importance of using the music in that way in terms of
Hmm.
for you, because everybody has different lanes that they feel they need to take with their music, and no one wants to be put in a box, but
Hmm.
you clearly said that you are a soul healer. So
Hmm.
explain why that became your lane.
Well, you know what? Because I needed it myself. So I'm very
Mm,
clear that before I go out and try to reach out to people, I need some of that healing myself. So what I do is I write songs that really register or rather resonate with myself about, and I tell my own truth. So I'm a sensitive soul. I'm kind of an empath. So I tend to feel things that I really don't want to feel a lot of
mm,
times. So I tend to just put it out there. And so instead of me pretending to just say, hey, just write a song for the sake of writing a song, for me personally as an artist, I think that's kind of useless for me. I want to really put something out there that is really cathartic for myself. So if I'm able to kind of sing myself into a healing space, hopefully it'll trickle over to other people. So I don't try to just say I'm writing a healing song. I just write things that I believe are from the heart that people do relate to, and hopefully that they gravitate to it as well. And for those who do, some of them have felt that, and also not to say, oh yes, I'm this healing type person, but I've actually been told that from people. So instead of giving
mm.
myself some self-titled thing, it's definitely been a case of someone really reaching out to me and saying how something touched their soul, and so in turn that touched me as well.
Right, right. You are on your third full CD right now.
Well,
Is that
I put out two, and I'm now working on a third right now.
now you're working on
Yes,
the third? Okay.
yes,
The single that has been out there recently, JD's Machine and
yes,
Cleveland P. Jones, "Kiss of Freedom." Now, is
yes.
that from the previous album or upcoming
Hmm.
album, or is that from a whole different
Well,
project?
it's a whole different project. It's totally an
Okay.
individual single that was written by JD Time Machine and Makalani Kenyatta. And I was just honored to actually do the song. I was totally it's supposed to be a demo, and the demo
Mm,
turned into, they said, well, we just can't imagine someone else singing the song because it was meant for someone that was bigger, for sure. I was just
mm.
demoing a song for a bigger artist, and then all of a sudden he said, I felt it and I wanted it to be you, and here we are now, and it's moving, and I'm so grateful for moments like this. So thank you, Mr. Marco, for this moment as
Yes.
well. Yeah, I appreciate
Yes,
this.
thank you for
Yeah.
the music.
Thank you.
And speaking of the music, you two albums that you've put out previously,
Hmm.
um, and the last album, of course, as I'm about to say it, it just went right out of my head. But that's the one that I've seen a lot because you got a lot of response from like our friends at soultracks.com
Hmm.
and others around some of the singles from the last album that
Hmm.
has really kind of put things in motion for you, I would guess.
Hmm. Well, yeah. The last album, the sophomore album rather, is titled "Let's Make Love." So it's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
hodgepodge of different songs from different genres. I mean, it goes from house music to something a little political. It goes to something that's pop, a little country. It's got a little rock vibe to it. It's a lot of things that are in there. A little Prince tribute in my, from me, at least in my head, a Prince tribute. Just really, really just writing songs from the heart, and not, being unapologetic about how I see music, how I feel about it. And one thing I will say is this: is that lots of times that there's music out there that everybody loves, but if someone has already done it, then they've already done it. And it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
time to have something a little refreshing and new. And I tend to challenge myself to do something a little refreshing and new, and not necessarily that everybody will gravitate to it. And I'm okay with
Mm.
that too, because I believe that what's for you will always come to you. So, I focus on that thing.
Right, right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, obviously, you're a singer songwriter.
Yes.
Are you an instrumentalist as well? Do you play?
Yeah. Well, I started, well, I don't play it anymore, but my first instrument was actually tenor and alto saxophone. So that was the first thing I
Okay.
started with years ago. And I think that if I ever picked it up, I think I would still be able to play it. But currently, my main thing is learning piano learn to
Mm,
accompany myself. So I'm getting
mm,
better with it, but I'm not as proficient as I would like to be. But it's definitely something that I've been working on personally, so I can actually go out and do shows with myself and piano, or at least yeah. So I believe in what I'm doing, and I'm starting a little late in the game, a little later in age, but I believe that
mm.
if you're alive, you can still do it. So here we are.
Absolutely. As long as you're breathing, you got to live, and you
Yes,
got to do
sir.
those things you want to do.
Absolutely,
You know.
absolutely.
You mentioned starting later in the game. What was it that said that jump started you to actually really pursue music? You said, years ago you played alto and tenor saxophone. Oddly enough,
Yeah.
so did I years ago growing up.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of
Very good.
ironic.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if I picked it up again, if I could really play. I might be able to
I
get
think I can still
that
play.
initial
I think I
C note
remember the
out.
notes. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
might be able to
Well,
get that
it's
initial
kind
C
of
note out.
it's a little bit of muscle memory, I would say, and also just being able to read at that time. Now, reading piano music is a different ball game. I do more chord
Mm,
progression playing, but if you put like a piece of sheet music in front of me that's for an alto or six tenor sax, I think I might be able to plow through it. I won't. It won't be perfect. I can assure you that, but I can definitely
right,
pull through it. Yeah. So I think,
right.
yeah. So starting late in the game for me was, it started with a friend of mine, Mr. Ahmed Sarur, another a fellow brother and producer, pushing me out there because I was a shy type. I was afraid
Mm,
of what people would think about how my sound was because I'm a male, and sometimes my sound may have a feminine tone to it. So I was just really,
mm,
really a little bit in my head about how people would perceive me as a singer. But this is what it felt like, and this is what it sounded like, and this is how it came out of me, and I was really concerned about what people thought. But the thing was, when the first song that was placed out was Nature Boy, I did just a jazz standard, and it was released over at Jazz FM in the UK, and the response was amazing, and I was stunned. So I was looking for the negatives. I was looking for all the negatives,
mm,
and it turned out to be a positive thing. So that was in 2011. And since then, I just
mm.
never stopped. I just kept doing it and doing it my way. And I said, the people who want you or like you or love you will gravitate to you. And now I even have a name for them, and I call them my Becleavers. So my name is Cleveland. So there was
Mm.
those, you are my Becleavers. So which means you believe in Cleveland. So Becleavers. So I
There you
appreciate
go.
every one of
I,
them. Yes.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Becleavers.
There you go. Get back to Kiss of Freedom. You mentioned it was really
Yes.
for another artist, and you did it as a demo.
Yes.
But that's not a song that you happen to write. So
No.
um, yeah, it just is it often that you get to perform songs that you don't write, and how does it feel differently when
Mhm.
you're singing songs that you're not writing?
That's such a good question. Such a good question. Typically, if I'm doing something that's collaborative or just doing a demo, I detach myself, honestly. I tend to detach
Mm,
myself from the song. I'm like, okay, the work is done. I'm moving on.
mm,
But then this one kind of came back. And when the decision was made that they were going to just go along with my vocal, I had to kind of regroup myself about the song. And I was like, okay, I thought, I was waiting for whoever the next big somebody is or to do it. And then when it turned around to be me, I had to again like readjust myself and rethink the song. Now I have to perform the song. Now I have to really really promote the song. Well, I don't have to, but I want to.
mm,
And working with James Day and Makalani, who are the writers of the song,
yes.
it's been such a blessing. So it's been really a good thing. And one thing I could say about working with the two of them, which we now call each other dream mates, um, is that they really really helped me to see the music industry as far as working and collaborating with people in a better light, because I didn't have great experiences also with a lot of collaborations that I've done. I did a lot of work, a lot of writing, a lot of singing and arranging, and I never saw anything came out of it. And this is the first time, well, not the first time, but this is definitely a better situation that I'm seeing things actually coming to fruition. And James made it his business as well as Michaelani made it their business to make sure that whatever I had in the past that wasn't so positive, that it does not repeat itself. And so this has been a very positive experience for me. So I'm so excited about that and honored to be a part of it.
Right, and James Day. I mean, we certainly feature his his music in the various iterations over the
Yeah.
years, and he's worked with so many wonderful people, and now he adds Cleveland P. Jones to that list
Yeah.
with this project, and so that's a wonderful thing, and only
Yeah.
a further blessing to you and him. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for
Um,
that.
we,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. We mentioned the last full release, which was "Let's Make Love." The first release was Ace of Hearts, right? That was your first
Yes. Correct.
album project,
I call
and
that the
both of them
heartbreak album.
the Heartbreak album. Okay, and
Yes.
and you wrote everything on both albums, right?
I wrote and produced all of that. Yeah, that was my first.
Okay.
I want to prove to myself that I can make it. You hear so much about who's going to get you to write with them. The thing was that I did lean on people. I was a little bit dependent initially, and I realized that when you really needed some people, and just again not to make anybody bad, I'm glad all of it happened because it made me write the songs. It made me sit down, produce, and pluck on that piano and figure out those chord progressions and find those melodies. So I'm glad that all the things that didn't come through for me didn't come through, because it had not happened, I would not have had producer, writer, producer, executive producer at that much under my belt. So I took it as a thing to make sure my first album was really something that was 100% personal, which it was definitely personal, and make sure that I actually wrote all the songs. Now, what I did do, I demoed all of them myself, and then I did some work for hires, and I had some amazing musicians out of Boston, particularly out of Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
some of them to come out and do a live. So mainly the majority of that album is absolutely 100% live instrumentation,
Oh,
live
great.
everything, live piano, live everything, so live horns, everything. So I spent a good bit of money that I have not ever
Mm.
seen to get back, but I have not one regret. Have
Right.
no not one regret for doing it myself, so I can pat myself on the back and say, Cleve, you did a good job. And also the fact that it actually, which shocked me beyond thought, was that album got me the new artist of the year with Soul Tracks. Totally shocked me. I
Mm.
just was not seeing that, because I'm thinking this is not popular music. This is me crying my heart out, basically, and I couldn't just. And I knew this wasn't popular music that was really playing on the radio, but it was like they saw beyond and saw what the heart of the music was about, and I was able to take that award home. So I'm so grateful to Soul Tracks as well. Thank you, Chris Rizek, and everybody involved.
Absolutely, absolutely. You mentioned you're working on the third album. How far along are you with the new album?
Ooh, you know what? I'm not that. What I don't want to do is overkill. So I have a tendency of like, oh, let me do 12 songs. I said, you know what? Let's narrow that down to 8 songs this time. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
So I'm personally working on a jazz album, which is influenced by Kiss of Freedom because it's such a soulful jazz song.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
so but I want to do something a little bit more on the standard side. So I'm writing a couple of soul tunes as well as jazz, because I consider myself kind of an embodiment of soul and jazz. It's going to be there no matter what song it is, kind of. So I said, let's just go ahead and face the fact that this is what you do, and give it to the people, and hopefully they love it. So
Excellent.
that's kind of the gist of, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So, as we wait for that new project, people can certainly continue to listen to and hopefully purchase "Kiss of Freedom,"
Yes,
um,
that'd be
JD's
great.
Time Machine, and Cleveland P. Jones.
Yes,
Before we let you go, how do people follow you, find you, find out
yes,
more about what you're doing, join the Be Cleaver movement? How
yes.
do people do all of that?
Well, okay. So basically, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Everything is Cleveland P. Jones. So anything is Facebook.com / Cleveland P. Jones. Same thing with Instagram .com / Cleveland P. Jones. Same thing with Twitter / Cleveland P. Jones. And also, if you want to really get in contact with me personally, you can also just DM me or direct message me, and and we can talk and have great conversations and get to know each other better. I appreciate every single person. When I say believer, I really mean that. Like, people have really shown that they believe in what I'm doing, and I don't take it for granted. So that's why I am really sensitive, loving about it, because it's so easy because this market of music is convoluted with so many artists all over the place, millions of artists. And if someone actually can say not just necessarily zero on you, because people have many likes, other artists other than you, but
Mm-hmm.
just the fact that they
Mm-hmm.
still pay you a little bit of attention, man, that's big. That is huge. Like to me, that's kind of like you've already made it versus needing the Grammy, which I'm never ruling that out. But it's definitely just a wonderful thing. It's like you really are rewarded by people who show you true support and love. So I want to say thank you to every single person. Again, just like this interview itself with you, Mr. Mark Nobles, is an honor. Marco Nobles, sorry. I want to make sure I get your name
No,
correct.
no problem. No
Marco
problem.
Nobles.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
We certainly thank you for taking
Thank
the
you.
time and talking with us. We
Thank
encourage
you.
everybody to continue to listen to JD's Time Machine and Cleveland P. Jones with Kiss of Freedom.
Please.
If you
Please do.
want to get
Yes.
more of Cleveland P. Jones music directly, check him out on Bandcamp. He has his Bandcamp page where you can
There's also
check out
Spotify
both albums.
and
Okay, yep.
iTunes as well. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, everything is
so,
there.
so,
So it's on the
certainly.
digital platforms. Yeah.
There you go. So certainly make sure you continue to check out Cleveland P.
Yes.
Jones and become a believer. Yeah. All right, we're gonna get
Yes,
into
please. Yes,
Kiss
please.
of Freedom. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio, Cleveland.
Awesome.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nobles. This is such an honor. Thank you. And also big shout out to Mr. Myron Ruffin for making this happen as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio, Kiss
Yes.
of Freedom, JD's Time Machine, and Cleveland P. Jones.
It took half my life to understand. Missing things I never knew. Higher mountains, deeper waters than I ever dreamed I'd make it through. Till you gave me the kiss of freedom.